Hey everybody, this is season 2, episode 4, Finding Your Focus. Today's guest, Maurice Figgins, also known as Shot by Mo, is a visual artist whose work goes beyond photography. He's someone who sees the unseen. He tells stories through focus and perspective, and then he uses his craft to help people feel good while capturing what's happening beneath the surface. This is the Undercurrent. Hello everyone, this is Matthew Brown. Welcome to the Undercurrent. I am so glad to have with me as our first guest on my podcast. Dude, that means that you are like really special. This is Mo Fig, Maurice Figgins. Where you are an entrepreneur, you are a musician, you're a photographer, and you are focused.
Yes, sir.
You know, one of the things we want to talk about is with the Undercurrent, we really like to talk to people about what's beneath the surface of the things that they do. Sometimes, a lot of times, we meet people and they are just engaged, and it's what I call living on autopilot, right? And so we're transactional, we do things to be doing them, and we don't really walk away with a sense of purposeful fulfillment.
For sure.
You know, it's almost like sort of task accomplishment. And what I mean by that is that you have to really begin to ask yourself, are you purposely fulfilled, or are you just accomplished by the task that you started out? And it's a big, big difference. It was interesting the way we met. We met through Jessica, and who is our producer. And you were doing my first photo shoot of the rebrand. And that was amazing. That's what I'm saying. But I was so impressed by you. I was impressed by sort of this real calm, sort of very focused, clear way that you were engaging, and that you helped me through, you know, just kind of understanding the business. So I think, first of all, let's just talk about this. What do you think about at 29?
Yes, sir.
Tell me how you developed a sense of focus.
I believe my sense of focus developed when I was working my last corporate job, and I realized I did not want to be there anymore. I was making a great job, great pay, fun job, but I was honestly depressed with it. I did not. Wasn't my creativity. It's not what I want to do. And when you grow up, you say, "What do you want to do?" When you grow up, that was not it. So I said, "What do I need to do to make sure I don't have to be in this place anymore?" So entrepreneurship came around. So how do I make music? And photography wasn't in the conversation just yet. So how do I make music fun, still creative, but also beneficial to where I can live off of it? And so that took a lot of planning, a lot of research on how I can navigate the different avenues of music and still be successful without making it a job necessarily.
I would assume. I know musicians. It would require a lot of focus.
For sure.
So tell me, how do you train yourself to embrace like this creativity, new music, or even the focus process of creativity? What does that look like for you?
It's different avenues. So one, for me, I believe is placing yourself in avenues where you're not the best guy in the room, where you always have somewhere to grow. So at one point I was going to all the different big shows, jam sessions, everything like that, where this one guy, he's like my mentor. His name is Trey Gilbert. He's played for Bobby Brown, New Edition, some of the biggest people. And so I was hanging around him and find out what does he do to be successful in the game. And so just placing myself around him and having conversations with him, I was like, okay, I need to go down this lane. How do I do that? So that's hours of practice. That's learning new music. That's networking, different avenues, things like that. Not just sitting at home saying I can play an instrument, I'm good at it, but not really working that avenue or strengthening that muscle, if that makes sense.
Let's talk about the instruments that you play, because you said you play bass, you play a stand-up bass,
right, and cello.
Okay, now let's just be honest. Do you know? I don't know a lot of Black African American cellists.
Not a lot of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Now I do know that I go to church with one. But he's now at Vanderbilt.
Okay.
He's a college student.
Nice.
But it is interesting. Why that instrument?
So it's a funny story. How I started playing music. I was in middle school. I was really bad, talkative, always fighting. I got kicked out of class. They sent me across the hall to the orchestra. I wanted to play violin. They already had 20 violinists. It's like, so you should play cello. I said, all right, cool. And that's how I started playing cello.
Really?
Yeah, it was no intent. Just me being bad and being placed in another situation.
So being bad was your starting point.
For sure.
It's interesting. Let's talk about that for a second. If you're going to be focused, then you have to have a place that you start.
For sure.
But I think focus is intensified when you overlay that with a sense of purpose.
Mhm.
Now, clearly, you acting up in class, there was no purpose
Not at
there.
all.
There was
Not
none
at
of that,
all.
right?
Yeah.
But when you picked up the instrument, did it sort of call you?
100%. Once I started playing it, and not to be arrogant, I actually sounded good.
Okay.
I was like, oh, I can actually do this, and I want to be better at it. I didn't
Mhm.
want to, be the guy that's still trying to learn at the end of class, or last one to learn something. It was in the middle school. It was kind of like a competition who can learn the fastest and play the best.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to continuously be that guy can actually like teach other people like, hey, this is how I did it. You should try this way as well. And it became really fun. So one instrument led to another, and now I'm playing music full time.
And so this started about, how old were you?
I was 8.
You were 8,
8. I started playing music when I was 8.
picking up a cello at 8.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing to
Yeah.
me. So we do the cello thing, then you sort of kind of grow up to some degree, right?
Right.
So in these vast 29 years of living,
Mhm.
so at 8 you got a cello,
I had a
right?
cello. Mhm.
So at some point in time, you walk into sort of this job that you were in, right?
Right.
And I want to ask you something, because I think it's important for us to understand that a lot of times we just do things to get by, whether
Mhm.
that is pay bills, whether that is survive, and survival is very important. So I don't
Right.
want to undermine that. But when you went to this job, did the job give you the same level of fulfillment, purposeful fulfillment, as the cello?
Yes and no. Yes, in the beginning, it was masked as fulfillment. I thought I was
Okay,
enjoying
hold
it.
on. This
Yeah,
is important. It was
it's
masked
masked. Yeah,
as fulfillment.
for sure.
Help me in your 29 years of understanding unpack that
Mhm.
for our audience, because to me that is the enemy of focus.
For sure.
Is masking something to replace what should be distinctively
Right.
purposeful. Okay.
So the best way, it's probably gonna give me a second to explain it. So
Yep.
music at the time when I started working, this is around COVID. Of course, everything shut down. All my gigs were shut down. So I got into the cycle of working a job and not really like trusting my musical ability to like take care of me.
Mhm.
And so I get to this corporate job and I'm making a lot of money. Like I'm doing really good. I'm selling contracts. I'm making commission. And so I'm like, all right, cool. I really like this. I'm getting out meeting different people, getting in different industries. The job I had was a marketing job. So I was selling social media contracts to different types of companies. So I mean, anywhere from studios to restaurants to lawyers, different industries. And so if I'm making, I throw a number right there. If I'm making, $3,500 off of one deal that I set 2 hours with, I'm like, oh, I can keep doing this every day. I'm
Right.
having fun.
Right.
And so months of doing that, I even got a promotion, everything like that. Months of doing that, I'm realizing I'm not being creative. I'm spending less time on my instrument. I'm not, impacting people in a musical way, if that makes sense. And so eventually the glitter turned into like pixie dust, if you want to call it that. It
Mhm.
faded away. I was like, I'm actually not really enjoying this. I'm enjoying the money,
Mhm.
but I'm not enjoying what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And so I had to find a way of converting the money to something else, if that makes sense.
I guess I would ask you the question, how were you raised? Because see, to me, that says something else.
Mhm.
Somewhere, somebody helped you ground yourself early
For sure.
with values.
Mhm.
Because if you do not have grounded values, you will never really develop a sense of intentional focus that brings about purposeful fulfillment. because you're going to be all over the place.
Hmm.
Tell me about who raised you, how that happened.
My mom and my grandma.
Yeah.
My grandma's a minister.
Now we have that in common.
Yeah.
Okay.
My grandma's a minister. She's always like instilled faith in me. My mom was always supportive. And so no matter what I want to do as a child growing up, they fully supported it. Whether I wanted to play sports, which didn't work out. I went to Georgia Tech for a while. I did computer science. That didn't work out. Any job I've had, they've been full supporters of it. And so when I said I want to do music full time, it's like, cool, we got you. You just got to like, actually like stick with it and be focused.
Yeah.
So that's where the focus came from. Just having the support system. Also, my grandma instilling faith in me at a young age.
Yeah. Because I think that's important. Part of a lot of times I wrote a book called Becoming Distinctively You, and in it I talk about a focus fight. And the real I think the number one contributing factor of what we call failure is not failure but a lack of focus.
For sure.
Because we are not we think that if we focus for 10 minutes, it's supposed to happen.
Right.
So tell me about some of the challenges that was a part of your focus fight, challenges that came to move you away from sort of this values grounded thing of saying, I want to do music full time.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing was having people realize that music isn't like a hobby or like a side mission for me. A lot of people like say, "Oh, you got your little band."
Yeah,
little part is like, "Hey," and so I think the biggest thing is having people realize like, "Hey, you can actually have a career out of music and be successful." Another challenge was people knowing your value when they do hire you. A lot of people like to hit me up and say, "Hey, can you like do this for exposure, or can I pay you $50 and you can play for 5 hours?" I'm like, absolutely not. I cannot. I got to spend hours. I first got to buy the instrument, have the equipment, got to rehearse it, then I got to come and perform it, and it's a lot going into it. So I think the biggest challenges were just people having value in the art. If that makes sense.
That makes sense. And let me just say it a different way. The way that I hear you saying it, Mo, is the fact that what people don't understand, they want to celebrate your talent.
For sure.
They want to celebrate the end product, but they don't see all of the focus, the time, and the investment that it took to get to that space. And so it is interesting to me that you would say that, because I have a saying, particularly in the teams that I lead and the organizations I lead, that I'm not going to let you treat my vocation like it's your hobby.
Right, for sure.
It's because to me, the focus really is the distinction. It is the undercurrent of separating what is a hobby from what is a call on your life.
For sure.
And so when you understand that, then I think I'm using the word vocation, when you're calling your profession, but I really got to talk about your purpose. When your purpose calls you, then focus, then all of a sudden, purpose has a way of putting the thing you're doing in focus.
Right.
And now you see it as sort of, this is my life's drive.
Right.
Wow. We're at music, and then what other, this entrepreneurial thing. Tell me about how you got to photography.
It was on a whim. I was out there for lunch with one of my friends who's also an entrepreneur. She's a chef. Shout out to Courtney.
Shout out to Courtney.
We were at the lunch last year, we eating ramen, and afterwards, I kind of told her, I was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting into photography," and she's like, "You should do it." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, we'll see." We finish our lunch, and I go to Best Buy. It was terrible. They didn't have anything. They didn't know anything. I was like, "All right, come and get out of here." I drive an hour to KEH, which is in Marietta, which is around the corner probably.
Yeah.
And I just kind of talked to them for like an hour, just kind of asking questions. And I really wanted a camera for content to do music with. That's what I really wanted to buy a camera for. But they taught me so good that I ended up spending a lot of money on the camera. So I was like, I got to find something to do with this camera other than music content. And so me just being an internet nerd, I got on YouTube University and just learned how to do photography. It was no prior drive or other than just me saying, "Hey, I want to do this." And
so you go from being inquisitive to being inquisitive, intrigued, and then you capture something that's got your attention, and then you focus on it and you're self-directed.
For sure.
So what was it about photography that was sort of your,
Honestly, if I get tied together, I think music and photography kind of in my mind, fulfill the same purpose, which is making people feel better about themselves.
Okay.
Musically, you play music, you feel good, you kind of forget things for a while. But
Mhm.
photography, and especially with how mental health is set up today, a lot of people are like
Yeah.
more so insecure about themselves. So I
Yeah.
can take a picture and you smile, it's like, oh my gosh, I love that picture.
Yeah.
I've done my job. It's
Yeah.
not about, having the best lighting setup or doing the best concepts. It's like you take a picture and you feel better about yourself. I've done my proper job.
So you pick up, you do photography,
Mm-hmm.
you are in this space of trying to what part of focus
Mm-hmm.
did photography pull that maybe the playing the cello didn't?
So the way I always like to explain it, photography allowed me to not let my music be a party trick. Meaning there was a point where I did have to take the $50 gig or the $100 gig.
Sure.
And so I had to get to a point where it's like, I'm not liking this either. So I'm getting back into the space of where I was in that corporate job. I'm not liking it at all.
Mm.
So how do I make sure music doesn't become tainted? Photography came and took that place to where I have another stream of income. It's not basically about the income, but it also allows me to say yes and no on the music side to what doesn't fulfill me at all. I'm not, just playing in some random club somewhere just because I need $1 for the day.
And what kept you focused?
If I could be honest with you, the investment.
Yeah. Okay. So I think, man, you're dropping a lot of gems here because I think a lot of times people struggle with their sense of focus because of their lack of investment. So let me just kind of recount your story real quick. You have a very supportive community.
For sure.
You've got a great grandmother, a phenomenal mom, right? And instead of you staying in Georgia Tech, kind of walking out this traditional thing of grabbing a degree, computer science, you decide that you want to be an authentic creative.
Right.
So you have this exposure at 8 to music. You kind of do this thing, and then you have a great lunch with the chef, eating ramen, and then you decide, hey, I think I want to do this.
Right.
So you keep making investments. Once you have sort of come to that place where you are fulfilled with the thing you're doing, but there is something inside of you that calls you further.
For sure.
Can you talk about your generation to me and to others about where your generation may be a little stuck on focus because of the lack of investment in the thing they're doing?
I think it's two things. One, I feel like my generation is scared of failure, and so they don't invest in it because of that aspect. Tyler Perry said it a couple of weeks ago on a podcast himself. He said, "I don't fail," and I was kind of like, "What does that mean?"
Right.
Pretty much, he's saying any failure that he has is a lesson. So it teaches him something how to push forward.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've used that as like a benchmark of. Not saying that I knew that before he said it, but if I thought about it, it's like it's kind of a true statement. And so I think for me, I learned a long time ago to not be as scared to invest in myself. Like nobody's gonna bet on me more than me.
Yeah.
And so I've used that anytime I've picked up a new instrument or like even get into photography, I've never been scared to say, hey, this is the amount of money I need to do it and to be successful at it. Because I think that's the biggest challenge that my generation may have, just betting on themselves, like going full in.
What do you think is distracting, that's stealing the focus from your generation?
I think a lot of people are looking for that get rich quick scheme. A lot of times when I teach my students, I tell them that it's not gonna happen overnight. You gotta practice it to get better. Practice makes better.
Yeah.
Not perfect, but better.
Yeah.
And so I think just slowing down and enjoying the journey would get my generation a lot further than just trying to get rich by tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that part of sort of the whole focus journey is your focus to notice where you are.
For sure.
And not necessarily always trying to get to the destination. And so if I were to ask you in terms of photography, what was one of your best pictures? What is one of your best shots besides when you did my photo shoot? Besides that.
You're number one. So if I had to give it number two, I would have to say that's a great question. I flew to Houston and did a photo shoot for an artist named Kalia. Um, Hers is very creative. It stretched me in a different way.
Okay.
It was a composite photo shoot to where I had to put two people in one picture, but two of her in one picture.
Mhm.
And we also had to play with a lot of different colors and things like that. That was a really fun one. It challenged me in a lot of different ways. It wasn't my home setup. Like I said, I was in Houston. I was there for like 2 days.
Right.
And so I had to think on the spot, like, hey, how do I make this work? And I think because the journey was so fun that the destination was a lot fun. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what helps. I want to say to you that or challenge you and ask you, let me know, like, where is there space in your life to sharpen your focus, to build, to invest, to dream, to discover, and then to execute to the place of purposeful fulfillment. Your focus fight is not all of the things that are happening around you. It is really what's happening inside of you. And maybe we have picked up a whole lot of things in life to do because we refuse to focus on one thing.
For sure.
You know, it's an old idiom. You probably never heard it, but it's how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice.
That's true.
It comes around this whole issue of focus. So that is that's our time today. But man, you have been a tremendous guest. Thank you for being the first guest on the Undercurrent, and you were intentional because your generation really needs to hear the voice, not to be afraid, to focus and not to be afraid, and that you really never fail. You just keep learning.
For sure.
And don't get so caught up with the destination that you've missed the fun of the journey. This is the Undercurrent. Hey, thank you for watching Season 2, Episode 4, Finding Your Focus. You can have more information about really sharpening your focus and expanding your curiosity by going to matthewlbrown.org. We got a lot of helpful hints. Also, listen, let me invite you to join our line group. Man, we come together and we sharpen our skills, our focus, and we dive beneath the surface so that we get to our place of fulfillment. Thank you so much for being with us, and check us out on the next episode.